here today to listen to Mr. John Clark. Mr. Clark was born and raised in Hawaii. He started surfing in 1954 when he was 8 years old and has been surfing ever since. He was a City and County of Honolulu lifeguard at Sandy Beach from 1970 to 1972, and then joined the Honolulu Fire Department. And after 33 years with the Honolulu Fire Department, he retired as Deputy Fire Chief in 2005. So maybe instead of Mr. Clark, I should be saying Chief Clark. Chief Clark is the author of 11 books about Hawaii's beaches and surf breaks and shoreline place names. And they are all published by the University of Hawaii Press, although I did learn today that he has 2 books that he self-published. And thank you for those donations to our library. He has an AS in Fire Science from Honolulu Community College, a bachelor's in Hawaiian Studies from the UH Manoa, and a master's in Public Administration from Manoa as well. Chief Clark was an instructor for several years here at Windward Community College, so this is a coming home for us and for him here at our college. He was a former Hawaii Ocean Education Academy instructor, where he was a water safety instructor in the Ocean Safety Technician Training course. And that course was used to certify surf club coaches in Hawaii's public high schools and to train ocean recreation instructors in various local businesses. One of our instructors today, Ian Masterson, is not able to be here. He's teaching a class at Kahuku High School. But he did want to give his aloha to Mr. Clark and also give aloha to Glenn Pang, who is also here, who was a part of that program too. So thank you for coming. Without any further ado, I will hand it over to Chief Clark.
Thank you, Sarah. Aloha mai kākou.
Aloha.
Thank you all for coming. I'm honored to see all of you here. Thank you. It's a surprise that there's so many of you. Anyway, I was asked to come, and Sarah mentioned that I've published 11 books with the University of Hawaii Press, and that's exactly right. And she asked me to speak about book number 8, which is called Hawaiian Surfing, Traditions from the Past. So what I wanted to do before I launch into my talk here, I wanted to give you a little background on how I arrived at writing this particular book. Anyway, the first 7 books that I wrote were all researched from English material. And by me interviewing surfers, fishermen, anybody that had anything to do with the ocean. So I combined all of that material from all the people I interviewed and all of the English material that I found, and I rolled it into 7 different books. Anyway, the UH Press liked all my stuff, so they published them. In 2005, what's that, 20 years ago? Okay. In 2005, I found another really excellent archive. Anybody know what that was?
Old newspapers?
Yes. Old newspapers is correct, but I found the Hawaiian language newspapers. I discovered that the Hawaiian language newspapers, which start in 1834 and go all the way to 1948, that they're online and they're searchable. So all of that archive right now rests with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, OHA, in their Papakilo database. Can you guys see that all right? I know it's a little rough here. Okay, So, as soon as I learned about the Papakilo database and the Hawaiian language newspapers, what do you think that the first word I looked up was? Yes, exactly. But I looked it up in Hawaiian, He'inalu. So, on your left there is the results of He'inalu in this database. And there's over 800 results. Then I split the word on the right screen. I split He'inalu into two words, He'e and Nalu. He'e is sliding and Nalu is wave, right? So that's how the Hawaiians described board surfing, wave sliding. Anyway, when I split the word into two words, I got over 200 hits. So combining those two search efforts, this is 2005 now, combining those two search efforts, I got 1,077 results. To me, I found a gold mine. And I decided right there on the spot that I was going to mine this archive of Hawaiian culture about everything that I could learn about native Hawaiian surfing. And 6 years later, I ended up publishing, or the UH Press published Hawaiian Surfing Traditions from the Past. Everybody good so far? Okay, good. I have a degree in Hawaiian Studies. Sarah mentioned that. I have a BA from UH Manoa, but I don't speak Olelo Hawaiian, and my translating skills are very minimal. So I got a friend of mine, Keakalani Smith, and Keal was, and in 2005, he was teaching Olelo Hawaii at UH Manoa. And I got him to agree to translate the articles about surfing for me. So Hawaiian Surfing Traditions from the Past is almost 100% articles from the Hawaiian language newspapers translated by Keakalani Smith about surfing. And the articles go all the way back to 1835 and come right up to 1948. So the book is divided into 3 sections. There's an introduction section, and then there's a dictionary of Hawaiian surf terms, and then there's a special section at the end, a 3rd section, on traditional surfing in Waikiki. Waikiki was the focus of surfing for all of the Hawaiian Islands. That was like the epic spot with all of the different surf breaks that are there. Okay, now, as I was sifting through all of this information and getting the I would go through all of the Hawaiian language newspapers, get the results, and then I would pick the articles that I wanted to, for translation, send them to Keal, and then he'd send them back to me. As I was going through all of this information, I realized that Native Hawaiians did 6 different surf sports. Okay? They did 6 different surf sports. Can you guys come up with 6? Anybody?
Body surfing.
Body surfing, board surfing, canoe surfing,
Bodyboard.
body boards, that's 4. Stand-up paddling came in the 30s with the hollow boards. Sand sliding. And what's the 6th one? Oh, you'll have to wait and find out. Anyway, I'm going to go through all 6, and that's going to be the bulk of my presentation. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good to go. Okay, He Nalu. I already explained what it means, wave sliding. This is a picture, yeah, I just heard Eddie's name. That's Eddie on the right, Eddie Aikau. And this is a photo of him surfing at Waimea Bay. Anybody know who's on the left?
You.
No. That's actually Fred Hemmings. Fred used to call this the Freddie Eddie photo. Okay, board surfing. So this is number 1, right? Okay, someone was asking me about traditional surfboards. 3 of the boards, this is a Bishop Museum display of their traditional boards. 3 of the boards are called Papa'olo, O-L-O. And I'm standing between 2 of them. I'm 6 feet tall, so you can estimate the length of those boards. And these boards are actually shaped round. They're not flat like surfboards like we have today, or even back then. They're more like the little board that's to my right, which would be to your left, that tiny little bodyboard. The board in front is another Papa'olo that was made out of willy wood. The 2 tall ones are made of koa. So this is Bishop Museum 2010. Who's that on the right?
Duke.
Yeah, Duke Kahanamoku, exactly right. Okay, here's a display. This was a 2010 display of other boards besides the Papa'olo. The tallest one of the 5 that are in front, that was called a Kikoa. And then we have the Alaya, the Papa Alaya, coming down to your right. And the smallest one on the right is a Papa Li'ili, a small board, which was used for bodyboarding. The boards in the back are more recent boards. Okay, this photo was taken on Waikiki Beach. You can see Diamond Head in the background. And the surfer here is holding a bodyboard, a small alaya. And what's he wearing? Yes, he's wearing a malo. So even in 1890, the missionaries had been around a few years, but Hawaiians were still wearing malos when they went in the ocean, when they went surfing. And that is Duke Kahanamoku. Duke was born in 1890 on August 24th, and this was his 64th birthday in 1954. The man that's taught me how to surf, was a professional surf photographer, and he took this picture of Duke. Duke happened to spot him on the beach with his camera, and he said, "Today's my 64th birthday. Would you take a picture of me surfing?" So my friend Clarence Maki said, "Sure." They paddled out to canoes right in front of the Moana Hotel and took this shot of the Duke. Now the Duke is riding, the board that he's riding is a redwood board. Duke tried a foam surfboard once, and he said it's too tricky. In other words, it was too unstable for him. He preferred his 100-pound redwood boards. The other thing that I noticed in this photo is he's surfing with his left foot first. So for all of you surfers, he's a regular stance, right? Left foot first. Okay. This photo was taken in 1956 on Waikiki Beach. You can see the Moana in the background there, and the catamarans too. Anyway, this was the son of the photographer I mentioned, Clarence Maki. But this was when the wooden boards, like we just saw in the other photos, this was when the wooden boards started disappearing. So foam boards were easy to make, they were easy to construct, and this is foam fiber, you know, with a covering of fiberglass, of course. And there was a foam factory in Honolulu, the Velze factory, in 1960. Excuse me. I started off on balsa boards, coated with fiberglass, and in 1960 I converted to a foam Velze surfboard. So anyway, this is where the wooden boards again started disappearing from our lineups. Pakaka nalu. Pakaka means to skim. So the Hawaiians are saying that when you're in a canoe surfing, you're skimming across the surface of the ocean. Anybody got any ideas where this photograph is? Yes. Yeah, castles. The Hawaiian name for castles is Kalehuawehe. Anyway, this is one of the outriggers' four-person canoes, and they went out and caught a wave at castles Kalehuawehe. All of you here probably remember the Baywatch TV series, right? Is anybody not recognize it? The TV series was about lifeguards, and it was primarily in the 1990s. Carl, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, Carl's another surf historian here. Anyway, when the lifeguards, when Baywatch was filming on the North Shore, they filmed out of Haleiwa Beach Park at the Kalili Surf Center. And Brian Keaulana, who happens to be steering this canoe, Brian Keaulana was hired by Baywatch to be their water safety person. So one day, between takes, Brian said to a couple of the Baywatch staff, "You guys want to go for a canoe ride?" And he took them out to Avalanche. Avalanche, if you're at the beach in Haleiwa, Avalanche is to your left, and it's like a second, third wave break. It's giant out there. So anyway, Brian, that's a photo of Brian steering, three guys from the Baywatch series. And you can see that Brian instructed them on what to do when you're sliding on a wave. You have to lean out on the booms, the yako, and hold it down, otherwise the canoe will huli, it'll flip. So I actually talked to the photographer that took this photo, and he said that they made it. Okay, this is number 3, kaha nalu. Kaha, you guys already got the nalu for waves, and kaha is actually short for kikaha, which means to glide. So mano kikaha is a gliding bird, yes. So this is, this guy's name was Abraham Kahui. And Clarence Maki took this photo in 1953. Now he's body surfing at Queens in Waikiki. And I started surfing again in 1954, a year after this photo. And I remember when I started surfing in Waikiki, there were a lot of body surfers at Queens. But anyway, his nickname, all the Beach Boys had nicknames, right? His nickname was Purple. Anybody want to guess why?
Darkness.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So anyway, Purple was born and raised on Niihau, and he found his way to Waikiki to be a beach boy. But this is the traditional way that Native Hawaiians body surf, with their hands tight to their side. Now, do we body surf that way today? No, we body surf with our arms out, right? So that's like after World War II innovation, the arms out. So this is traditional body surfing as Native Hawaiians did it. Okay, this is Point Panic down in Kānaka, and this was taken during a body surfing contest, and you probably can't tell, but this was a handboard division, so in his right hand, he's got a little handboard, a little hand plane. Where is this? Sandy Beach, right. Anyway, she's still a very good body surfer, and she actually won a couple of contests at Sandy Beach. Her dad was Bob Thomas, if that rings any bells. He used to run the Point Panic contest. Who's this?
President.
That's right. That's our former president, Barack Obama. Do we all wish we had him back? Anyway, as we all know, Barack Obama was born and raised in Hawaii, and like a lot of the teenagers here, he learned to body surf at Sandy and Makapu, just like we all did. So before he became president, he was visiting the islands, and he decided that he was going to go body surfing again as an adult at Sandy Beach. So the lifeguards said that they went in the water with him, the lifeguards at Sandy went in the water with him, and his Secret Service guys were all there on the beach. Yeah, freak it out, exactly right. Okay, now I just threw this photo in for fun. These are two bodyboards at bodyboard surfers at Kea'au Beach Park, just past Makaha. And the body surfer is right under the lip of the wave between the two bodyboards. Can you see him? What is it? It's a shark. So this shark was body surfing the wave with the guy down below him. How many of you have seen sharks in the water body surfing waves? Yeah? Yeah, I have too, lots of times. Yeah, they like to cruise just like the porpoise do. Oh. Okay, pai po'o. Pai in Hawaiian in this sense, in the surfing sense, means to come ashore. So if you say pai ka'ua, which I got from a Hawaiian language newspaper, it means you and me, we're gonna, it's how they would say, let's go, let's catch a wave, pai ka'ua, let's head towards shore. So if we're all gonna do a big party wave, pai ka'ua, right? Okay, these photos were taken in 1910 at a place called Kawa in Ka'u on the Big Island. And you can see that the guy on the wave in front is riding a small wooden bodyboard, paddleboard. So here's two more guys coming in. And again, the guy that's standing on our right, what's he wearing? Malo. So even in 1910, people in the rural areas were still wearing malos, malo to go in the water, to surf. Okay, here's two more guys at Kawa, and in the background there, that's South Point, that long point that's sticking out into the ocean. Anybody recognize who this is? Yeah, you canoe paddlers. You all recognize one of our surfing legends, Wally Forsyth. This picture of Wally was taken back in the 1950s. And Wally was an avid pipe rider. He was an avid bodyboarder. And he made all of his boards mostly out of balsa with redwood stringers. And he always put a handle on the front of the board. Now, Wally heard the term pipo in Waikiki. But they didn't pronounce it like we pronounce it now, pipo. They pronounced it pipo with a macron over the O. So anyway, Wally didn't know how to spell it. He didn't know it was P-A-E because nobody had ever spelled the word before. So when he started making his boards and selling them commercially, he had some decals made that he put on the boards. He had the decals made in California, and he put them on the boards that he sold. So this is where we get the name today, pipo. It's from Wally's decals. And now you can see what the handle is for in front. Wally was a pipo rider, and he rode standing. Those are Churchill fins that he's wearing. And he told me that the handle not only made it easy for him to catch a wave, but he would brace his left foot. He surfed left foot first. He would brace his foot or his fin against the handle. So that was the reason he put handles on his boards. This is Makaha, 1956. Anybody want to guess where this pipo rider is? This is Pipeline, that's right. So this is Sean Ross. Sean lives over on Maui right now, but he was one of the early lifeguards at Pipeline. And this is a photo of him on a pretty good sized wave. Remember, that's just a small little bodyboard that he's on, no fins, flat. And this is a photo of me on a small day at Publix, finding my way through the reef there, the shallow reef on the inside of Publix. Okay, this is the one, this is the sport that you guys missed. And I was really surprised to find this in the Hawaiian language newspapers. The native Hawaiians surfed the stationary waves that a river flowing into the ocean creates. Yes, exactly, Waimea Bay. And this is a photo of a bodyboarder today on a modern bodyboard riding a stationary wave at Waimea Bay. So I learned from the Hawaiian language newspapers again that Native Hawaiians did Heipu'iwai river surfing on 4 different islands. So Oahu was the first at Waimea Bay. Waimea was famous even among the Hawaiians for river surfing. But also there was river surfing on the Big Island, Hawaii Island, Maui, and Kauai. Those 4 islands, yes.
And you're actually riding upstream. Right?
Yes, you are. You'll see that in a minute. I've got a couple more slides in here. Okay, everybody recognize the... these photos were, I think, like 1980s. 1980s, they're fairly recent. Okay, when there's heavy rains back in Waimea Valley, the water floods down the Waimea River and it gathers right behind the sand beach. Okay, before it actually penetrates the sand barrier, when it gets this full, the river surfers come down and bring their shovels. Now, not everybody appreciates this, because what you're going to do is you're going to release all of that water that's being held back by the sand barrier, right? And what happens when you release that water? It floods into the bay and turns the bay brown. So not everybody is excited when that happens, but the river surfers love it. So once they get the river running, this is the beginning stage right there. And you can see the boats anchored in the bay, right? Where the boats are anchored, that's where the eddy contest is held when it runs. That's right at the point where the biggest waves are. Okay, the river's starting to run. You can see the gap, the channel. The gap in the channel is starting to get wider. And somebody jumped in on a bodyboard and they're standing. So everybody stands on either. Have any of you seen this? Yes? Okay. You have? Okay. So everybody stands on the river, on the sandbanks on either side of the flowing river, and they wait for the stationary waves to form, and then they all just take turns jumping into the wave. You just launch off the side and right into directly into the wave. Okay, you can see the stationary waves forming here, and when the wave dies out, you just wash out into the bay and swim back in, make your way back in.
The lifeguards were not fond of it.
No, there's some water safety issues with river surfing. One of them is that you can see how heavy that flow is, and it can hold you down. It can actually pin you down to the bottom of that canal. So the lifeguards always stand on the side, and they always watch for anything. The second thing is, there's rubbish coming downstream too. There might be branches, there might be tree trunks, there might be anything that you can imagine that's coming down with the flood.
Dead pig.
Yeah, dead animals, exactly right. Now the guy on the left, can you see that he's holding a camera? So that's an easy way to get a surf shot, right? You just stand on the side and take your picture. So to repeat, he's facing upstream right now. And this guy actually launched on a small surfboard, a shortboard. Okay, now you can see the lifeguards, two of them standing up there on the side, on the left. As the channel gets wider and the water starts, actually you run out of water to create the stationary waves as the channel gets wider. And the whole session just dies out. So I wanted to just add one more thing in here before we leave He'epui Wai. Wai is freshwater. So this is the only surf sport that has water in its name. He'epui Wai. Pue is agitated. So you're surfing agitated freshwater. Everybody good to go on that? Okay.
And now it's a Wi-Fi.
Pardon?
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Waikai, when you combine the two Wai and Kai, that's brackish water.
And that's what they have of it.
Yes, Waikai is out there in Eva. Yep.
$75 an hour.
75 an hour. Oh my. Okay, and again, he's facing upstream. Okay, here's number 6, He'eone. We used to call it back in the day sand sliding, but when the California sand sliders got a hold of it, they called it skimming. So that's pretty much what it's known as today. Does anybody still call it sand sliding? Very good. You guys in the back too? Very good. Okay, this is just a sand slider or a skimmer at Waikiki Beach. Okay, this is some really unusual footage that I found in an old 1930s movie about the Hawaiian Islands. This photographer managed to, this is Waikiki by the way, this photographer managed to find 3 different forms of sand sliding, and he got the 3 guys to do these 3 different forms of sand sliding in one shot. He got them all framed in there. Okay, the guy on the right, the guy on the right that's running with nothing in his hands and his arms outstretched, this is the traditional form of sand sliding, of skimming. You run after the receding wave, but instead of dropping your skimboard and hopping on it, you throw your arms out in front of you, and you put your arms down on the sand, and then you push, and you launch yourself onto your chest, and you skim without anything. You just skim on your chest. So you need a white sand beach to do this. It doesn't work too well on black sand beaches. And you also need a beach with a little slope to it. So white sand, sloping beach. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna go slow. Watch the guy on the right for right now. He's putting his arms down. He's got his arms on the sand. And right now he's launching his body onto his chest. I've tried this many times and I've never been able to do it. I always come to a skidding halt and it's painful. It's painful. So anyway, The guy on the right is going to skim on his chest, and he's going to fade out of the shot. Okay? He's down on his chest now. And he's gone. Okay, that leaves us with our other two skimmers, our two sand sliders. The guy in the middle is skimming on what?
Air bag.
Yeah, all of the above are correct. Anyway, when the big hotels first started showing up in Waikiki, the Moana was first in 1901, and then the Royal Hawaiian in 1927, Halekulani after. The Beach Boys figured out right away that you could take a pillowcase, a mattress cover, anything that you could trap air in, and if you trapped air in it and squeezed the end, you could skim on it. So that's what this guy is doing in the middle. He's skimming on some kind of inflated whatever it is. Maybe a pillowcase, maybe a mattress cover. And the guy on the left is just on a regular bodyboard, a wooden bodyboard. 1930s, Waikiki Beach. Now this was actually pretty popular. The bag riding, as some people called it, a lot of people did it, including after World War II. Those of you that live in Kailua, if you're from Kailua, I've talked to a lot of the old timers in Kailua that told me that they used to skim using the bags on Kailua Beach in the Shorebreak area. Okay, we're going to come back to bag riding in just a second. This is where skimboards went in the 1980s. So these are boards that are actually made of foam with fiberglass coverings, and they're skimming on them and holding contests. This was about 1985. So what's this guy done? He's used the face of the wave in the Sandy Beach Shorebreak. He's ridden up the face of the wave. You can see his track on the right. And then he made a U-turn at the top of the wave, and he's riding his skimboard back down onto the beach. Okay, that's John Alfred. And keep in mind that he's using the face of the wave, the Shorebreak wave, as a ramp. So what did he do in this photo? He used the face of the wave as a ramp, but instead of making a U-turn up at the crest, up at the top of the wave, he launched into a somersault, a full-on layout.
Did he make it?
He made the flip.
Is he still alive?
He is.
Good for
Yeah,
He's still walking.
Johnny Alfred is still alive and well. He does mountain bikes nowadays. He gave up skimming. And that's him again, coming up the face of the wave with his skimboard, and then just doing a layout backflip. Sandy Beach Shorebreak. Okay, there are women that skimboard too. In fact, they're part of the skimboard circuit. They skim here on Oahu and on Maui as well. And I just put this one in for fun. This is a dog skimming in California. And this dog also rides two other boards. What do you think? Skateboard and... No, not a surfboard. How about a snowboard? Yeah. So this dog skateboards, snowboards, and skimboards. Okay, this is back to the bags. That's Al Santos on the left. Al was born and raised in Nanakuli. That's where he learned to bag ride. There used to be a lot of military back in World War II along the Waianae coast, and the kids used to get the mattress covers from their barracks and convert them into rideable bags. But Al on the left there, his wife actually made these two bags. She made them custom made them for him. So he's teaching this guy how to do it. Okay, this is Al catching a wave at Sandy Beach on his bag, and he's dropping in behind his son Kai on the bodyboard. There's a famous movie that was made in 1973 called Red Hot Blue. And the photographer, Kurt Mastalka, photographed Al Santos bag riding at Makaha. Anyway, these are screen clips that I'm going to show you of Al Santos bag riding at Makaha. And everything that you see from all of these clips is from one wave, one single wave. If any of you want to see the original, you can go online and actually buy a copy of Red Hot Blue. It's still available.
Red hot what?
Red Hot Blue. Yeah, Red Hot Blue. Okay, what's Al doing right now? He's catching air in his bag. So he's standing on the beach in Makaha catching air in his bag. Oh. Okay, right now he's caught enough air in his bag to suit him, and he's grabbing the end so that the air can escape. And now he's gonna head out to the lineup, but he's gonna skim first. He's gonna skim into the water. And here's paddling, Al is paddling on with the boys. So they're heading to the lineup. Now, he told me that the hardest thing about bag riding is that if you lose the air when you're out in the middle of the ocean, you can catch it. You can catch the air back in the bag, but the hardest part is getting back on top of the bag. So anyway, he held on tight, but it was out in the ocean. Okay, these are all screenshots from one wave. Al's already caught the wave with his Churchill fins, and he's riding. Okay, he just did a 360 or a 180 spin, right? So now he's facing into the white water. And he's coming out of his spin. So he did multiple spins as he's coming into the beach. And he never falls off. And that brings us to the end of the 6 Hawaiian surf sports. Now, I made a video for the Department of Education here in Hawaii. The series is called Kaipiha, and the video is called Ka'ahelema Waikiki. That's a tour of Waikiki. So if any of you want to see the video version of what I just presented this afternoon, go online and find this, and you can watch the video presentation. Okay, now Sarah asked me to do one last thing before I turn it over to the Q&A, the questions and answers. She wanted me to go over some of the names of the surf spots, the Hawaiian names of the surf spots on the windward side. So she's going to pass out a paper to all of you. Okay, everybody's. These are some of the when I researched Hawaiian surfing in the Hawaiian language newspapers. These were some of the Hawaiian names of surf spots that I found in the Hawaiian language newspapers. So number one, Kolaupoko, which goes from Waimanalo to Kualoa. They reached Kukui in Waimanalo, Kolaupoko from Waikiki, and the surf was breaking at this surf spot, so the chief and his companions went out. Anybody have any idea where Kukui is? In Waimanalo? Kaupo. Kaupo Beach Park, which is the beach park right in front of Sea Life Park, and that little area. What do you guys call the bay? Cockroach Bay. Cockroach Bay. Anyway, that's one of its common names. So anyway, that particular spot is called Kukui in Waimanalo. And this is, I've never had a confirmation on this, but this is my guess at the name. If you look up on the ridge right above, you can see that there's a skylight there in the ridge. And there's a little hole there with the light shining through. And Kukui means light. That's one of its translations. Haleiipu Kukui is a lighthouse, for example. So anyway, that's my take on where this particular spot is, Kukui. Okay, that.
Kaupo was an important fishing village. That means night land, because you could always come to the beach, so you could find your way.
Okay, the name of the beach park is Kaupo, and we just had an explanation of what the name means, that it means night landing, and that was the name of the village that was located there. Very good. Thank you. Okay, Muliwai o Puha, Waimanalo. If you drive into Bellows Beach Park and you're heading down towards the military end of the beach, there's a stream that crosses the road. That's Puha Stream. And apparently in 1877, John Cummings, who owned the Waimanalo plantation, sugar plantation, He accompanied Queen Emma on a Circle Island tour, and they stopped at Puha Stream, and he, John Cummings, he was Hapa. He was half Hale, half Hawaiian. He had someone demonstrate for the Queen river surfing. So apparently the stream was dammed up enough that it, when they released the water, that it created stationary waves. Okay. Number 3, this is from an 1871 Hawaiian language newspaper. Lono went surfing at Kalapawai in Kailua. So where's the surf of Kalapawai? What do we call it today? Flat Island. So if you paddle out to Flat Island on the Lanikai side of the island, that famous longboard spot and canoe surfing spot, that's the surf of Kalapawai. Okay, number 4. Ko Moku Moku in He'eia. This is actually a surf spot out in the middle of Kaneohe Bay. Do you all know that Kaneohe Bay actually has a Hawaiian name? It's Ava, what is it? Ahu'olaka is the, I'll get to that in 1 second, that's a sandbar in the bay. The name of the bay is Ava o Ko'olau. Ava Bay or harbor, O, and then Ko'olau. If you go in the Hawaiian language newspapers and you look for Ava o Ko'olau, you'll get a bunch of hits. Okay, Ahu'olaka is the area that everybody calls the sandbar. That's where everybody parties, on the sandbar. Yeah, I could see. Have you been? One of the partiers right here. Anyway, I think another possibility for Ahu'olaka is Ahu'olaka, and in Hawaiian, Ahua is a surfing term, and it means a shoal. It means a sandbar. It means a shallow area where waves break. So if you look for both Ahu and Ahu'olaka, you'll find both in the Hawaiian language newspapers. Okay, Ko Moku Moku is next to Kapapa Island. Does that ring a bell with anybody? Okay, there are several bays in several islands in Kaneohe Bay. One of them is Kapapa, and the surf spot is just on the north side of the island. Has anybody surfed there? Have you?
Operator surf and surf.
Have you?
It's fun.
I surfed it one time. Is it mainly a left?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. And there's some like submerged coral heads.
You gotta be careful.
Yes, you do. I think that's what the Moku Moku is. The Koa Moku Moku. Anyway, and Hei extends all the way out into the ocean, which is what this is saying. Okay. The next one is Ko'olaholoa from Ka'ava to Pupukea, and the waves at Kahana. Who surfed Kahana? Have you? Have you surfed the middle of the bay? Yeah? Longboard? Yeah. Anyway, every once in a while, if the ocean is stormy enough, their surf in Kahana Bay, not just on the beach at the shorebreak, but actually out in the middle of the bay. I've surfed it too. It's a fun spot. It's a longboard spot. Okay. Aha Iki, number 2 in Ko'olauloa. The only clue we have for where this spot is Lani Loa. And does anyone recognize that Hawaiian name?
Polynesian Cultural Center, Laie Point.
It is, that's exactly right. Lani Loa is the Hawaiian name for Laie Point. So where would Aha Iki be? If it's a Kailua side,
Yeah.
straight out from PCC?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the surf spot is called PCC's today. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the name that I hear anyway.
The channel between BCC and what's that beach park there? There used to be a CYO camp. There's a channel right out from Pounders Beach.
Oh, okay.
Surf on the Kailua side and the channel. It's sort of BCC on the north side.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so that's a Hawaiian name of a surf spot. And the last one is Palmalu, which today we call Sunset Beach. And that brings us to the end of my list and the end of my presentation. So, anybody have any questions? Yes.
How long does a river wave last? Usually only a few hours, right?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
I watched it for 2 hours. It was fascinating.
Okay, we have a eyewitness report here. 2 hours. So once the channel gets too wide to support, all the water coming down, the stationary waves don't form, and they just call it a day.
But there are people that now are surfing rivers. Like
Oh, yeah.
Outside of Bend, there's some of them, so that, it can go all day and all night because the river's always full.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. There's river surfing in Germany, and
Yeah.
wherever rivers create standing waves. Amazon too? Yes.
You mentioned that you tried sand sliding on your chest, but you didn't let us know if you tried bag sliding or, back in the 80s and 90s, we used to use the plastic McDonald's tray. Have you tried bag sliding or McDonald's tray sliding?
No, I never tried bag riding or bag sliding, but I've tried the McDonald's trays. We used to use them for handboards.
Yeah.
In fact, Wally Froseth told me back in the 1930s when he was a kid, they used to use roof shingles, like a wooden shingle. They used those for handboards. So every generation was creative, right?
Yeah. And as a lifeguard, I'm sure you saw every...
Yeah, every step. The first McDonald's in Hawaii was Aina. That's right. So I was at Sandy Beach. So all of the kids who were coming from Honolulu stopped at that McDonald's, got their trays, came to Sandy Beach. So I saw that whole evolution. Yes.
Do you know the Hawaii 5 waves?
Which one, where is that?
Oh, that was shot in Waikiki. Those guys in the Hawaii 5 opening are outrigger canoe members, and the steersman was a friend of mine, Tommy Holmes.
The one that's the wave all by itself. No people in it.
The original 5 volt.
Oh, that's
Oh,
5, but it's when
called something else shown in reverse.
Oh, that part I'm not sure. Let's check with surf historian Kyle over
I
here.
wasn't listening, sorry.
Okay,
There's a Hawaiian 5 right next.
Sunset Beach.
Yeah.
Wayne McGee?
The big barrel in the
It was to the left of White Man.
Is it early? The first one?
The first one.
we have you think it was to the left of White Male?
Yeah, you're looking out at White Man, past the point toward Hawaii.
Okay,
There's a break over there. Alligator Rock, no, it's outside of Alligator Rock and more toward White Man,
okay.
I believe.
He sounds like he's confused with that one, actually.
No.
I'm not sure. Yes.
The Ko'olauloa, how many designations does that word refer to? Is there Hawaiian instructional garden somewhere back in haiku that uses that name? I'm curious about what that name is used for besides that long stretch of clothes.
Well, you know, the Ko'olauloa means long windward, but it's actually the short stretch. And Ko'olaupoko means short ko'olau, but it's actually the long stretch. Hawaiians found that hilarious. You always did the opposite. You called a fat guy slim and you called a slim guy fat. And they thought that was so funny. So many place names are
Well,
like
if you
that.
encounter it today, what might it designate?
It designates areas, often, basically off the Koa, but longer than that.
Oh,
But Ko'olauloa, long, windward, Ko'olaupoko, short.
So in the Hawaiian land system, they divided the island up into districts. So the Ko'olau district is Ko'olaupoko and Ko'olauloa. But then you have the Wailua district, Waianae, Ewa, Honolulu. Does that make sense?
you know, the districts.
Yeah.
So districts also is an accepted method of speaking of different sections of the island.
Yes.
Instead of just the different ahupua'as. Okay.
The Ahupua'a are within the district.
Yeah, whereas this is more or less designating the shoreline.
So the Ahupua'a are land divisions, sub land divisions within the larger district.
Different lecture.
Thank you for such an excellent presentation, John.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question I'd like posing you. In many ways, societies are undergoing major changes at the moment. And one relates to the idea of introducing a shorter work week. Some people even talk about basic income. They even tried it, I think, in Finland. I wonder, what could we learn from traditional Hawaiian society? And let me be a little bit clearer. Not to put words into, words that you haven't spoken, but I guess, I think you will agree in saying that surfing was a foundational element of Hawaiian society.
Yes.
And this is represented by the different kinds of surfing and the many hits you found in these newspapers. Could you talk a little bit about the role of leisure of various kinds in Hawaiian society? The role of different kind of leisures in Hawaiian society. Broadly, not just surfing.
Anybody want to take a stab at that? Go ahead.
Well, the Hawaiians, the women did most of the gathering, the men did most of the cooking. And that was the important part, was feeding the people. And they were so efficient at it, not taking the gathering, that they did have a lot of leisure time. And that was why when the Westerners came in and said, don't be lazy, get out there and work, 50 cents an hour, $4 a day. The Hawaiian said, no, thank you. And that was really what led to the importation of Portuguese immigrants, Japanese immigrants, Korean immigrants, because they would work for those small wages, whereas the Hawaiians felt life was too short. They needed leisure. And so, and they weren't lazy, it was just their lifestyle. Provide for, you know, food and whatever else they needed, shelter, houses, but enjoy life. That was the Hawaiian attitude towards leisure.
Thank you. Comment?
Thank you.
I just wonder if you have any idea how much we've all enjoyed it. And thank you, appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes.
Do you have any history of surf breaks on Marine Base? Pyramid Rock?
Oh, I know. My son and I used to sneak in and surf zombies.
Where are zombies?
Zombies is. Anyway, the Marine base goes right up to a civilian subdivision on the Kailua Bay side. Yeah, the Kaimalino area. So we used to scoot around the fence there to reach a surf spot called Zombies, which was right around the fence. Anybody else ever surf Zombies?
All the boys in high school did.
Yes.
Did the Hawaiians regard some waves as too big to surf, and they wouldn't go out?
It would depend on where. I mean, where was too big. Big surf in Waikiki could have been managed on the traditional boards we saw. But big surf on the North Shore, you know, like if you were looking at one of those big papaolo that, you know, it looks like a telephone pole. You can't imagine catching a steep wave with that. You'd have to get more of a sloping wave, one that you could almost ride like a canoe, you know, get the momentum and get down into the wave. Steep vertical waves, the equipment wouldn't have allowed it.
Can you identify the river surfing spots on the outer islands?
Oh, one was, yes, on the Big Island it was the Wailuku River. Apparently, people swam when the river was flooding. They actually went into
I grew
the,
up in Hilo, and there's
Okay.
a break there, but it's out in the bay. It's not what the engineers would call hydraulic jump situation in the actual river. It's plenty brackish water, and it's gotten shallower since the 70s when I surfed it. You're outside that old landing, there used to be a lighthouse there.
uh-huh,
And it's a long way out. And you have to straight north to come in around the breakwater. But it's a wave, not a standing wave, it's an ocean wave that just breaks in what is now a huge sandbar.
the best I can tell you is that the Hawaiians called it in the Hawaiian language newspapers. When they went into the Wailuku River, they called it He'e Pu'e Wai. Not Kai, not ocean, but Wai, freshwater.
It'd be enough fresh water coming down the river that it would not be salty when you surf there.
I talked to a City County lifeguard when I was writing the book, who grew up in Kaumana, in Hilo. And he said that they used to ride standing waves back up, back in the Kaumana area. He said they would actually
Yeah.
hold on to a rope
Yeah.
and ride standing waves in the river. So,
And other islands?
Maui. Maui is the standing wave there. I learned from a woman, a Hawaiian woman on Maui, whose family had ridden this particular wave. And it was on the Haiku side of the island as you're driving out towards Hana. It was one of the rivers coming down on East Maui, I guess. Kauai, I think it might have been, it was either Lumahai or Wainiha.